Are we ready for the next question?
We are. Lay it on me.
Awesome. What are the most effective strategies for securing funding? How should startups decide between bootstrapping and seeking venture capital?
Another loaded question. Let me start by this. It all depends on the startup that you are trying to do. If you have a startup that requires tremendous amounts of funding for growth to become the number one or disrupt a major category, create a new behavior, you are going to need copious amounts of money. Ideally for me, I bootstrap everything. And this is based on raising over $100 million for my startups, other startups, and startup funds. And I've seen what happens when money hits the bank, that I prefer to bootstrap all the way. But I have to recognize that my startup may not grow the same way as a startup that ended up finding product market fit. They got their MVP rolling, things are trucking along, and an investor comes in and gives them $1 million to pour gasoline on the fire. I just have to accept that. And that's the lifestyle that I want. Now, let me just be clear to everybody who's listening, going to be watching this. I am old. I'm in the back nine of my startup career. I do not have the wherewithal right now. I've done it way too many times, way too many boards, way too many funds, general partners, VCs, you name it, that I'm just not into it anymore. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, scars to prove it, I'm good. That is my personal choice. But when I was 25 years old, I was going for the brass ring, trying to build a unicorn. I needed funding. That's the reason I interviewed down at Y Combinator. I talked to VCs all over the place. I was enamored with Silicon Valley, which is, the big thing back then. I worked for family offices. I talked to billionaires. And that was important, and I needed that funding. So what happens is you will make a decision based on what you want to do. And I have this conversation with founders all the time. I say, all right, do you want to build a $10 million a year business, or do you want to build a $100 million a year business and get bought for $1 billion? Those are two different things before I answer how you want to raise investment. Do a gut check and figure that out. And there's so many ways, and it's important to talk to other founders. I've seen many founders just bootstrap. And remember, bootstrapping can also include borrowing from friends and family, or using credit cards, or borrowing from the bank. I know a founder, and I see him, and I get jealous of him on Instagram all the time. He bootstrapped. He was a lawyer, quit his job, and his buddy, I think, wrote him like a $15,000 check saying, I'll probably never see this money again, but see if you can go do something about it. Built a company. It does $20 million a year, bootstrap. That company is not going to be bought for $1 billion from Amazon, or by HubSpot, or by Twitter, X, Twix, or Zwitter, whatever you want to call it these days. But he's happy. And he always posts pictures of him parasailing around the world. And that's just his lifestyle. A $20 million a year company is great. You're just not going to hear about it. Private equity is not going to come banging down your door every single day, even though many investors come and say, if you just took a little extra money, you could grow this thing to $100 million. He says, no, I'm happy with the money that I'm making right now. And that might be you, and you might not have to raise money. Let's move to the second part. What is the best way? Think of it like a ladder, everyone. The higher you go on the ladder, the easier it will be to raise money, the better chance you've got in grabbing that money bag at the top of the ladder, versus an investor having to reach down and hand you that money. You want to organize yourself and figure out, how much can I de-risk the investment? The more de-risked the investment is, the easier it is to raise money. It's a simple formula. So if you have customers and they're paying, and you're already at break even, and you're on the verge of profitability, I have a founder here at Startups.com. She sent me, fantastic founder, sent me her financials and said, we just broke even. This is our first month. And I said, great, inflection point. Now let's send you the big leagues. And now she's talking to some bigger firms. The best way to raise money is to have a validated idea, an MVP, traction, customers, and the path to profitability. Now, if you are not fully there yet and you need money, then you're going to have to raise, and it becomes significantly harder. The further down you are, every single rung that you are down there, the more exponentially harder that it gets to raise money. So if I had to give you one piece of advice, I would say, get traction, get right in there and get on the path of profitability and show that you're on your way and you don't need money. The best time to raise money is when you don't need it. That's when people throw it at you. I remember one time I had a startup, and we basically were taking companies public and we were funding them, and it was a studio, and we had a liquidity event. I didn't need the money, but amazingly, so many people came to me and said, Ed, do you need money? Do you need money? Do you need money? Because it was de-risked and it looked like a sure thing. That's the position you want to be in. That's the best time to raise money without getting into a whole course. Remember, here at Startups.com, we've got courses, we've got online videos, and we've got workshops for you to check out no matter what stage you are. Every single day, I'm talking to the concept stage, pre-seed, they need the angels, but I'm also talking to the founders that are racing towards their A round. We have them all, they come in all different shapes and sizes, so not one size fits all of you. Check out the resources and customize your journey from there.
I love that, Ed. And I think the biggest thing that stuck out that I think we can all remember going forward is the best time to raise money is when
you don't need money.